Hey everyone, so today we are building a custom ROM, and as you can see I have a 62GB machine with around 22 cores. So basically what we are going to do is we are going to build a custom ROM, and I'm using Google Cloud for that. As you can see, I've created an instance of it's basically in Intel as well. I think it's way cheaper because I think the performance and the cost is very efficient with 22 CPUs and 64GB of RAM, which is actually the recommended amount. As you can see in the Android post, they basically recommend a minimum of 64 and also about 72 cores, but I think Google didn't allow me to create more than, I think, 48 cores. So I basically went with the 22 one, and I think that's enough. So basically the first thing you need to do is install the dependencies. After installing the dependencies, you need to install the repo tool. The repo tool will be used to clone the source. And for the source, I'll be using PixelAge, Project PixelAge. It's kind of an AOSP based. It doesn't have most of the customization you see in ROMs, like maybe Evolution X. It's basically bare bones AOSP. So you basically need to go to the 100 manifest, and they will have several commands which have been listed there now to clone the repo and reposting everything. So you need to be in the 15 branch, which is Android 15, and I think currently they have QPR2. They have QPR2. So you create a folder for where the whole repo will be cloned. I've created mine PixelAge, and I've already done the repo sync, which basically takes about 30 minutes depending on the course you use. So as you can see, this is the command which syncs the whole source code to that folder, and as you can see, mine is going fast because I've already cloned. So for you it may take about 30 minutes to clone everything. So ensure that it doesn't return any errors, and it indicates that the repo clone successfully. The other thing which you really need is your device tree, vendor tree, and the kernel. So for me, the device I'm going to build is a Redmi Note 11, which I think the device tree is available, the vendor tree, and also the kernel source is also available. Most of these Redmi, Xiaomi devices have their device tree available in the GitHub. You basically need to search and find a tree which will be able to build for the source. So for me, for PixelAge, this is the tree. I'm basically the maintainer for this tree. So I've been building for a while. I have several versions. So what you need to do is clone the tree. For me, I have the tree set up in a way that it will clone the kernel and any other repositories which will be needed, like the vendor tree, also the proprietary Xiaomi camera. They renamed it to Leica, that same. So you need to clone the tree to a specific folder, devices, and the vendor name, which is Xiaomi, and the device code name, which is spes. So that's what you need to clone. So this doesn't take long. Maybe the kernel will have a lot of, the kernel is somehow huge. Yeah, you can see it's under device and then Xiaomi and then the device code name space. So that's why you need to clone that repo too. And I've also chosen my 15.0 PixelAge branch because it's the one configured for Project PixelAge. There are specific things you need to change to adapt the device tree to the source. For example, if it's PixelAge, I think there are several flags you need to include, such as the maintainer flag and other several flags you need to add. Okay, now you need to export the build, which is the device code name. You need to indicate it there for the ROM to know the specific folders to look then, and then you initialize the environment. So this basically will clone out the dependencies. For example, right now you see I've cloned the vendor, and now it's cloning the kernel, and it will also clone the MIUI camera and other dependencies. After that, you need to run the launch command. Some ROMs include, instead of lunch, they have breakfast. I think they are basically the same. It's just a tool to initialize everything. So for me, and I'm also building a user build. You can build a user debug or an engineering build. So for me, I'm building a user, and the branch is BP1A. BP1A is basically the QPR2. It's basically the QPR2, and as you can see, I'm missing something. The Viper 400 effects. It's basically what can I call it? The audio effects. So I need to clone that, and I found it in Space Devil, the organization Space Development. That's where they have it. So I go and find the source where it is. So I found out that the mirror they have is the one which is up to date. So I had to clone the mirror version of it, which is more up to date than the one they have in Space. So you have to clone it to that specific folder, packages, apps, and the folder name, which is Viper 400 FX. And after doing that, I think everything will now work well, because that's the only thing we have missing. This won't take a while. Yeah, as you can see, everything has been initialized and all the environments have been set. Now the last thing you need to do is now MKA. You start the compilation. So this is where the ROM build happens. It will take about, as I said, it depends on the specs you have for the machine. For me, I have 22 cores, and this will take about 2 to 3 hours for a clean build. For a dirty build, maybe you have changed something in the device tree, it won't take more than 15 minutes with such specs. 22 core 64, I found that's the sweet spot for budget, and also if you don't have that much time. For example, for this will take around 3 hours. I think I can save 3 hours in order for the budget not to grow that much. Okay, as now you can see the build has finished, and you can see it took about 2 hours and 16 minutes. Yeah, that's as I said, it depends on the specs you have for the VM, or if you are building on your machine, that's basically the specs you need. So it will build a zip file. So this zip file, you need to take it and upload it. For me, I've configured rclone, which uploads directly to Google Drive, because I find it way much convenient, and also it's way faster to download. So this is the command that you need to upload the file from your device to Google Drive. Yeah, you have to configure rclone beforehand in order for it to authenticate, and I think I made a mistake here because I indicated G drive without the full colon, which basically clones it or copies it to the machine itself, a local folder, instead of copying it directly to the cloud. So you need to add the full colon. Yeah, and I think I don't have space. So let me clean up previous builds. These are basically builds I tried to build and they didn't boot. So let me just delete them. I think now we have enough space. We have enough storage now. Let's try uploading it again. Yeah, as you can see, it's not working. Yeah, this won't take long because you are actually uploading from the clouds. That's why I prefer doing it in the cloud, because it's way faster to do anything. And as you can see there, yeah, it has been uploaded. Now what I have to do is download it and flash it to my device. I think I'll have a tutorial coming up on flashing using TWRP or even Orange Fox. So yeah, thank you guys.